Part 110. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1091. Chapter 1091 I Miss You. Seeing Xia Ying suddenly mention them, the usually silent little goo insect immediately leaned out of the bell, blinked his green eyes, and faced Yu Lingfeng, with an expression that seemed to say, "Master, it's up to us. Protection, you don't have to worry." Yu Lingfeng chuckled softly, "I was very careful about these little guys back then, but who would have thought that these little bugs with unknown origins could still be used today? Yeah, I think it's amazing too. I got them out of nowhere, but who knew they would stay with me for so many years?" As Xia Ying spoke, she thought of Xiaoju who had passed away. Although the encounter with these little goo insects is strange, they treat me sincerely. Xia Ying herself felt guilty for not protecting them well. Yu Lingfeng saw Xia Ying's thoughts at once, walked towards her, caressed Xia Ying's face, and comforted her, "It's all over, and the person is also dead, don't be sad." Xia Ying nodded, then grabbed Yu Lingfeng's hand, pillowed it on her face, and stared at Yu Lingfeng with a pair of clear eyes. "Yu Lingfeng, if you are fine, can you come and accompany me every day?" Xia Ying said coquettishly, "I don't know anyone here, and I don't dare to make friends in the entertainment industry. Moreover, many actresses have a face of fawning over Xiao Ran. It's really hard to like. I feel so bored. Actually, if you say so much, it would be more effective to just say you miss me." Yu Lingfeng half squinted his eyes, with a smile hidden in his eyes. "Hey, narcissist." Xia Ying snorted lightly and turned her head away. "Didn't someone just say they miss me? If you don't miss me, then I'll leave." Yu Lingfeng said deliberately, already making a gesture to leave. Xia Ying quickly grabbed Yu Lingfeng's arm, and Yu Lingfeng raised the corners of his mouth and smiled evilly. "Hey, Yu Lingfeng, you can't help but joke. Who did you learn it from? It's ruined you." Xia Ying said angrily. Yu Lingfeng turned around and looked at her, "Then just say you miss me and I'll stay." Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng responded in a funny way, while watching Xia Ying's face become increasingly red, and her smile became more and more rippling. "I miss you." Xia Ying still said it obediently, and then showed a naughty smile. "Okay, then I won't leave tonight," Yu Lingfeng said and walked towards the bathroom. Xia Ying looked back at him, "What are you going to do?" "Bath." Yu Lingfeng answered in a cold voice. He had already entered the bathroom and closed the door. Not long after, the sound of rushing water came from inside. Yin Wu, the heroine of The Great Doctor, was an innocent and harmless girl in the early stage. Who knows, it is precisely because of her innocence that the bad guys have an opportunity to take advantage of her. Yin Wu's best friend in the early stage, Zhang Shuiyan, also known as the second female lead, was a big bad wolf in sheep's clothing, who did Yin Wu misery in the early stage. Yin Wu later began to turn dark. He studied under a famous sect, dressed in red, killed decisively, and became a witch who was feared in the world. The movie focuses on Yin Wu's middle and later stages. There are relatively few scenes in the early stage, so it was shot quickly. Today's scene is about the scene where Yin Wu and Zhang Shuiyan break up. Zhang Shuiyan took away everything from her, and Yin Wu's transformation also started from here. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1092. Chapter 1092 Actors' Professional Qualities. When Xia Ying, who was dressed in a plain blue dress, and Xiao Ran, who was dressed in white, played against each other, Xia Ying thought of her previous life in a daze. Xia Menjian is Zhang Shuiyan in the movie. In her previous life, everything was taken away from her, but later, Xia Ying took everything back step by step. In this scene, Zhang Shuiyan will slap Yin Wu, which means that Xia Ying will have to bear Xiao Ran's slap. God knows how happy Xiaoran was laughing before filming this scene, and how proud he felt inside. She finally had the chance to slap Xia Ying hard. She wants to keep slapping that bitch. You'll be like this later. Just when Xiaoran was making plans, the director came over to explain the scene and told Xiaoran how to take action and from which angle to avoid hurting Xia Ying. Xiaoran listened impatiently throughout the whole process, and finally complained directly, "Director, is this too boring?" "Then what good ideas do you have?" the director asked. "Although it's Xia Ying's first time making a movie, we can't disrespect the profession of actor just because of this reason." Xiaoran said angrily, "Isn't it normal to get injured while filming? Such a fake fight is totally disrespectful to those who take tickets to the cinema. To make a movie, at least the actors must have professional qualities. Filming is inherently a hard work. If you can't stand the job, you shouldn't take it in the first place, right?" Xiaoran spoke eloquently, and even deliberately brought in a few actors to prove and support his point of view. "Do you think this is what happened?" What Xiaoran said makes sense." Xiaoran raised the corners of his lips proudly and looked at Xia Ying with a sinister smile. Xia Ying was indifferent and expressionless throughout the whole process. The director came over to ask Xia Ying for her opinion. "I have no objection," Xia Ying said. "I believe that Xiaoran's professionalism will definitely not use this to avenge private revenge, right?" Xia Ying smiled brightly. Xiaoran twitched the corner of her mouth. "This Xia Ying definitely did it on purpose." Of course Xiaoran smirked. "Besides, the two of us don't have any grudges, right?" Xia Ying didn't answer, but the people next to her could tell at a glance that they were having trouble. At this time, someone whispered to another person, "I think Xia Ying is going to be miserable." "Action!" the director shouted. Xia Ying and Xiaoran began to get into their roles. Xiaoran was smiling wildly, detailing to Xia Ying's character all the sins and ups she had committed over the years, as well as the fact that Yin Wu's first love, the senior brother, was also given to her by her. Grabbed it with one hand. Then, Xiaoran raised his hand and cursed, "Bitch." Then a heavy palm was about to fall on Xia Ying's face. Xia Ying relied on her experience in filming in her previous life to skillfully avoid the palm, and also acted like she was injured after being hit. The whole set of actions, it was flowing so smoothly that the director immediately shouted, "Cut, pass." Xiaoran was still stunned and didn't realize what happened. How could he pass this one? And how did Xia Ying avoid it? Etc. Xiaoran called Xia Ying, and Xia Ying turned back to look at her. "Are you okay? Do it again. Just now you didn't hit it at all." Xia Ying chuckled and said, "Xiaoran, you said you won't avenge yourself publicly. The director has already said it, but you're still worried about not hitting your face with a slap." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1093. Chapter 1093, Acting Skills Not Inferior to Those of the Best Actor and Best Actress. What you just said is correct. It is normal for actors to get injured while filming. It is indeed a reflection of the basic qualities of an actor. However, do you know that knowing how to protect yourself during filming is also very important for an actor? Important things. You keep saying that you are professional, but you made a mistake that even a fool knows. If you had really slapped me in the face, there would be slap marks on my face. It may not be swollen, and the scene will definitely not be filmed. My protagonist's scene will not be filmed, and the subsequent scenes will be delayed. Is this delaying the progress just to make one scene look realistic? Is it really putting the cart before the horse? You just saw that my scene was perfect, you couldn't tell it was a fake fight, so why would you do another one? Xia Ying's words left Xiao Ran speechless. He hesitated for a long time and didn't know how to answer. Xia Ying is right, Sister Xiao Ran, there is really no need for you to compete so hard just for a scene, and the scene just now was shot very well. You both acted very well, there is no need to shoot it again. The actors nearby began to come over to reconcile. I feel so too. Snort. Xiao Ran snorted angrily and walked aside without saying another word. This Xia Ying is very articulate, but what Xiao Ran is even more confused about is Xia Ying's performance during this period of filming. Xiao Ran has worked with many movie kings and movie queens, and he also knows how powerful it is for an actor to develop his acting skills. But she had to admit that Xia Ying, a layman, seemed to have very good acting skills and was not inferior to those movie kings and queens. She simply brought the character of Yin Wu to life, without any flaws or faults. Xiao Ran, who was initially prepared to use her superb acting skills to contrast Xia Ying, was a little panicked. She suddenly felt that if the movie was really released, not only would her acting skills not embarrass Xia Ying, but she would be embarrassed by herself. Professional actors. No, she will never allow such a thing to happen. Xia Ying's heroine will be hers soon. She won't let this happen. After the whole morning's filming, the crew began to take a rest. I don't know why, but the actresses who were still flattering Xiao Ran at the beginning all came to Xia Ying to seek advice today. Xia Ying, the scene you just played was really amazing, how did you manage to avoid being slapped in the face, but still look so real? Yes, I was staring at it and I was so dizzy. If Xiao Ran hadn't said he hadn't achieved it, I would have thought he had really achieved it. Yes, I thought it was true. Xia Ying, you are great, your acting skills are really good, you can consider acting in the future. You are really talented. Listening to them praising Xia Ying, Xiao Ran's face darkened from the inside out. Damn it, what a bunch of losers. 2 days ago, they were all trying to fawn over Xia Ying. Hypocrisy. Nausea. Actually, it's not bad. It may be due to good luck and sudden performance, or it may be the desire to survive. After all, such a beautiful face cannot be ruined, right? Xia Ying said with a smile. It made the people around him laugh. Xia Ying, you are so humble. Ha ha ha, is this still possible? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1094. Chapter 1094. Can't afford to offend. Sister Xiao Ran, let's have something to drink. At this time, the manager handed Xiao Ran a glass of water, but Xiao Ran knocked it over, got up and left angrily. Everyone's eyes turned to Xiao Ran. Why is Xiao Ran unhappy? I don't know, she's always been moody. Xia Ying, do you have any issues with Xiao Ran? I just want to ask, but you don't have to answer. Yes, actually I think so too. Xia Ying looked at their gossipy faces and just sighed, there are some things that don't need to be said in detail. You can think whatever you want. Xia Ying said something ambiguous, but everyone could tell that Xia Ying acquiesced. Okay, I'm going to the bathroom. Xia Ying stood up and left as she spoke. After Xia Ying left, the actresses started gossiping. I think Xiao Ran is most likely because the national goddess he got at last year's annual ceremony was snatched away by Xia Ying, so he feels unhappy, hates Xia Ying, and keeps targeting her. Actually, after these few days of contact, I increasingly dislike Xiao Ran's condescending attitude. In terms of status, Xia Ying is recognized as the #1 socialite in the imperial capital. Who can be more valuable than her? But I haven't seen anyone else. Just putting on airs. So, if it were me, I would vote for Xia Ying. Yes, Xia Ying has no airs at all when she talks to us. How does she look like Xiao Ran? She is as noble as a phoenix. What are you talking about? At this time, Someone came over and yelled. That person is the one who fawns the most closely around Xiao Ran. He has always hoped that through Xiao Ran's light, he could rise a little bit. So she couldn't stand others saying bad things about her. Of course, she was also Xiao Ran's third eye and often snitched around Xiao Ran. Mo Wenwen, why are you so arrogant? We are just chatting about gossip, do you have to take care of this? Mo Wenwen rolled her eyes and said angrily, don't think that I don't know what you are talking about. You are talking bad about Sister Xiao Ran. Be careful if I tell her. I said, Mo Wenwen, why do you live like Xiao Ran's dog? You. Mo Wenwen said. The other person's face turned red with anger, just wait and see, Xiao Ran won't let you go. After saying that, Mo Wenwen left angrily. At this time, the girls looked at each other. Mo Wenwen won't go over to complain again, right? That woman is really disgusting. She wants to be famous and wants to go crazy. She will probably add more fuel and jealousy to her. What should we do? Isn't it said that Xiao Ran is hard to offend? Can't you see it yet? The person Xiao Ran really hates is Xia Ying, so it's safer for us to stay away from Xia Ying during this period. With a gangster background, you can't afford to be offended. As expected, Mo Wenwen ran directly towards Xiao Ran's room. Go out. Xiao Ran was in a bad mood and broke a cup. With a smile on her face, Mo Wenwen approached Xiao Ran flatteringly, Sister Xiao Ran, please don't be angry. You don't even know that you were so impulsive just now, and now all those little are here. Speak ill of you. Xiao Ran snorted coldly, don't they want to act in this drama? Say bad things about me. That's right, Sister Xiao Ran, don't worry, I've just made it clear to them, they've all dispersed now. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1095. Chapter 1095. There is only one broken hair. Snort. Xiao Ran said angrily and said no more. Sister Xiao Ran, let me tell you, Xia Ying is much smarter than you. Although she is plotting against you, she is so good at judging her reputation outside she confronts you calmly. Mo Wenwen then said, if you ask me, Sister Xiao Ran, you should do the same, confront her without knowing it, and look for opportunities behind your back to give you a fatal blow. Xiao Ran glared at Mo Wenwen, is it your turn to dictate my affairs? Mo Wenwen was shocked and immediately apologized, I'm sorry, Sister Xiao Ran, I just want to help you, seeing you being bullied by Xia Ying like this makes me feel bad. What nonsense are you talking about? How could I be bullied by that little bitch? Xiao Ran was furious, just wait and see, she won't be arrogant for long, and her heroine will also be mine. Mo Wenwen was startled and covered her mouth in disbelief, Sister Xiao Ran, are you telling the truth? Of course. Xiao Ran let out a disdainful laugh, I told you, I will take back everything Xia Ying has now. Sister Xiao Ran, I support you. If you need my help, just say it and I will definitely help you. Mo Wenwen said like a dog. No, just be honest with me. If any news leaks out, you know what will happen. Xiao Ran threatened every word. Yes, Sister Xiao Ran, I will definitely keep my mouth shut and won't say anything. Mo Wenwen nodded her head and said. Besides, she doesn't even know what Xiao Ran's plan is, so how can she let it slip? However, if Xiao Ran really defeats Xia Ying and becomes a mainstay in the entertainment industry in the future, she will be satisfied by following Xiao Ran and drinking soup. Mo Wenwen has been in the entertainment industry for 7 or 8 years. She started playing the role of a passerby, and now she can play the role of the 4th or 5th female. The hard work behind it is unimaginable to ordinary people. If she wants to be popular, she must be promising. Therefore, she must find a backer for herself, and Xiao Ran is the best backer she can find after careful calculation. She will definitely hug this golden thigh tightly. After Fanyin left Ronkai, there wasn't a day when Ronkai didn't look for her whereabouts. During this period of time, Rongci traveled half of the world just to find Sanskrit sounds. However, he never found her again. Sanskrit didn't even leave any trace for him. All that was left to him was the broken hair. In ancient times, women would only give each other a cut of hair as a gift when a relationship ended. But Rongci felt that he and Fanyin had never started. Fanyin never said he liked him, nor did Rongci ask about him. He just spent a period of time peacefully like that. But that period was Rongci's happiest day. Rongci never expected that a relationship that he felt had not even begun would be over. However, every time Rongci thinks of Sanskrit, the only thing she can think about is the bunch of broken hair. Rongci came back again and was recalled by his mother. Rongci has always been raised by his father and his mother. For them, even if they have the same generation, Rongci is like their own child, so they have always treated him very well. Nowadays, Rongci was degenerate, unwilling to make progress, and was in a daze because of a woman. They couldn't stand it anymore, so they called him back abruptly, saying that it was urgent. Junmu went to the kitchen specially and made a table of Rongkai's favorite meals. Even though Rongkai was eating, he was still absent-minded. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1096. Chapter 1096 Lan 11. Jun's father looked at Jun's mother, and Jun's mother looked at Jun's father. Both of them looked a little unnatural, as if they had something to say, but they were trying to avoid saying it. Rongci was naturally aware of it, so while holding the dishes, he said, "Sister, brother-in-law, if you have something to say, just say it directly." "Well, Rongci, you said that you are now old and it's time to settle down. It's not a problem to be wandering outside all the time." Rongci seemed to have guessed what would be said a long time ago. The expression on his face was not touched. Instead, he raised his eyes and looked at the father and mother seriously. "I know you care about me, but I am no longer as a child. What kind of life I want to live is all based on my personal wishes. I have such a right, don't I?" Your father and mother were speechless. Your mother moved the bracelet on your wrist awkwardly, not knowing what to say for a moment. "I'm not Chennai. I don't have a family to inherit, and besides, my family has never admitted that I'm not." Rongci smiled bitterly, and then said, "I have no pressure, I just want to live a free life. Let's talk about when to settle down." Rongci has been unclear since he was born. The father does not know who his child is, so he is not recognized by the family. In addition, Rongci has not been an obedient good boy since he was a child. He has a stubborn personality and refuses to obey management. What's more, unlikable. Only fathers and mothers with kind hearts can treat him as one of their own. He will remember this kindness for a lifetime, and when it is time to repay it, he will naturally come back, but now, he only has Sanskrit in his heart. He will only like this kind of girl in his life. After meeting a person, everyone else becomes the scenery. Only that person is the smiling person in your scenery. Rongci didn't believe that Fanyin would be so cruel and would never see him again in his life. "Rongci, do you remember Lan 11? Rongci paused while eating. Lan 11 is one of a group of orphans adopted by his uncle in the past. She is also a girl who grew up with Rongci and is relatively close to her. Lan 11 was smart and cute when she was a child. She was pretty and lovable. Everyone liked to play with her. In less than a year, Lan 11's biological parents found her. She turned out to be just a homeless daughter, but her family was actually very wealthy. The day Lan 11 left, everyone except Fanyan cried. Because he couldn't bear to leave such a happy girl like her. Rong Si never heard any news about her again. She was like a passerby in Rong Si's memory. Now, this passerby actually went around and met him again. Seeing Rong Si's reaction, Jun's mother was overjoyed and thought it was interesting, so she continued, Lan 11 just graduated from a foreign college. When she returned to China, she heard that you were also in China, so she couldn't wait to come to see you. Meet you. Rong Si raised his head, met the expectant eyes of his mother, and moved his lips, no need. Jun Mu's brows drooped, we haven't seen each other for so long, isn't it okay to catch up on old times? So what if we reminisce about old times? I will leave immediately and never see you again. Rong Si continued, rather than seeing her and saying goodbye, it would be better not to see her in the first place. After Rong Si said the sentence, he suddenly thought of Sanskrit. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1097. Chapter 1097. I thought you had forgotten me a long time ago. In the past, Rong Si always thought that if he saw Fanyan, he would apologize for what happened back then, and then protect her well. But the facts proved that even if Fanyan appeared again, he would not be able to protect her. Fanyan even left him forever in order to protect herself. Rong Si couldn't help but look sad when he thought about it. When Jun Mu saw it, she quickly comforted her and said, forget it, if you don't want to, forget it. The worst thing is, I'll just explain it to you. Rong Si. At this time, Jun's father, who had always been silent, suddenly spoke and said seriously, the Lan family has already made an appointment, and the restaurant and other things have been booked in advance, so if you want to cancel, your sister will ask you to. It's not a shame. Originally, you were old acquaintances, it was just a meeting, so you don't need to think too much about it. We have no intention of bringing you together. You can just catch up with a friend. We can't interfere with what happens next. It's entirely your own wish. Rong Si was silent for a moment, then slowly said, okay. Jun Mu finally breathed a sigh of relief. When? I'm going to have a look at Chennai in a few days. Tomorrow night, Xiangrui restaurant. Rong Si nodded, then whispered that he was full, and left the table. The Queen Mother sighed, it's not a big deal that Rong Si has always had such a decadent attitude. I hope that Lan 11 can bring him some help. Jun's father looked at Rong Si's back and said to himself. When Rong Si arrived at the restaurant, he realized that the restaurant was booked tonight. Rong Si sat quietly in front of the window, looking at the busy traffic outside through the clean glass window. Where will Sanskrit be at this moment? Will she be alone, lonely, without friends, and will she be missing him as much as he misses her? Rong Si felt empty in his heart, and silently recited the name of Sanskrit in his heart. If we really can never see each other again in this life, I hope you will be well. Rong Si. Rong Si was still dazed, when a clear and sweet female voice broke Rong Si's contemplation. Rong Si raised his head and looked at the person coming. The man's ink-like long hair is draped over his shoulders. It is bright in color and reaches his waist. He has fair skin, a slim figure, wide-open black grape-like eyes, and a pair of delicate lips raised slightly, outlining. He smiled sweetly and stared at Rong Si. Lan 11. Rong Si could hardly recognize the person. However, she is still as bright and charming as she was when she was a child, making people unforgettable at a glance. For such a person, he knew from the first moment he saw her that she was definitely not an orphan. She was definitely separated from her family temporarily. The elegance and beauty in her bones cannot be hidden. What happened later also verified Rong Si's guess. Unlike Fanyan, whose beauty is cold and unapproachable, Lan 11's appearance is the kind that makes people want to get close to her. She is so beautiful that people can't help but like her. When she smiles, she is even more charming. It's hard to take your eyes away. Ha, so you still remember me. Lan 11 sat down opposite Rong Ci, supporting her head with her hands, smiling coquettishly. I thought you had forgotten me a long time ago. Won't. Rong Ci smiled faintly. She has indeed changed a lot, but she is even more beautiful. With her daughter's status and the education she received, she looks more elegant and noble. She is the kind of person who can easily guess that she is a socialite at a glance. People. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1098. Chapter 1098. I haven't laughed so heartily for a long time. Rong Ci, you haven't changed at all after so many years. Lan 11 looked at Rong Ci, whose eyes were shining brightly. I knew at a glance that you were Rong Ci. Even if I bump into you on the street, I would recognize you. Rong Ci took a slow sip of wine and said, I thought you reserved the place today because you were afraid that there would be too many people and they wouldn't be able to recognize me. Lan 11 frowned. No, I didn't know the venue was reserved until I walked in. Rong Ci suddenly realized, that's their arrangement. It seems that we have been tricked. Lan 11 shook his head and interrupted, let's reminisce about the past. Why do you think so complicatedly? No matter what they think, all I know is that I am very happy to see you. Why are you happy when you see me? Rong Ci regretted it as soon as he finished speaking. It's true that he hasn't been with a girl for a long time, and he can actually talk about such a low emotional intelligence problem. Although he has never been in love, he used to be such a charming young man, but now he looks like this. Just a few words can seem to choke the other girl to death. However, fortunately the other party is Lan 11, not an ordinary girl. Because we haven't seen each other for a long time, aren't you happy to see me? Lan 11 asked deliberately. At this time, the waiter came over and Lan 11 started to order, I want a glass of blueberry juice and a fruit salad. Rong Ci, what do you want? Rong Ci was in a daze for a moment. Blueberry juice, Sanskrit's favorite blueberry juice. Whenever Rong Ci is outside, Fanyan will ask him to bring her a glass of blueberry juice, and it is a glass of ice-free blueberry juice. Oh, I almost forgot, ice the blueberry juice. Rong Ci paused again, opened his eyes wide, and stared at Lan 11 in disbelief. Lan 11 was stunned for a moment and looked at Rong Ci, what's the matter? Do you also like blueberry juice? Rong Ci asked this question without knowing why. Lan 11 smiled and nodded, I like it very much. I must order it every time I have a drink. Lan 11 smiled. Rong Ci, you felt that for a moment, he saw the smiling Lan 11 and Fanyan twice again. It was as if the person sitting opposite him at this moment was Fanyan, not Lan 11. Although Fanyan is a cold and aloof person, her smile is so warm that it can warm people's hearts. Lan 11's smile actually looks a bit like hers. Rong Ci didn't know if he missed the Sanskrit sounds too much, so even the slightest clue could remind him of the Sanskrit sounds. Rong Ci, what's wrong with you, are you feeling uncomfortable? Lan 11 asked confused. She always felt that Rong Ci was acting strange today and was distracted all the time. Nothing, I also want a glass of blueberry juice. Rong Ci lowered his head to order. In the following time, Lan 11 and Rong Ci talked about many interesting things and told her various funny encounters. Rong Ci was originally absent-minded, but he was able to pull her back and successfully made her laugh. Lan 11, thank you for today, I haven't laughed so heartily for a long time. Rong Ci looked at Lan 11 sincerely. Lan 11 breathed a sigh of relief and said coquettishly, I don't know what's wrong. I have long noticed that something is not right with you today. In order to please you, I went through all the troubles in my life and told them all the fun things in my life. You listened. Add more fuel and vinegar. Wrong. See, I couldn't help laughing. Yes, otherwise there would be so many coincidences to make you laugh. Look how thoughtful I am. Lan 11 said with a smile. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1099. Chapter 1099, still the same as when I was a child. Thank you Lan 11, I feel much better. Wrong. See, I smiled faintly, and the two of them walked out of the restaurant. The soft wind was blowing outside, which made people feel very comfortable. Lan 11 smiled sweetly at Wrong. See, her eyes as bright as stars. Wrong. See, I remember that when you were a child, you were not as deep as you are now. When I was a child. Wrong. See, I murmured, let alone being a child, even the former self was unfamiliar to him. Especially after Sangyin left, Wrong. See, I felt that the whole world had lost its color. Yes, when you were a child, you loved to laugh the most. When you smiled, you were as warm as the sun and you also liked to help others. When someone was being bullied, you would definitely stand up. I remember, at that time, you liked to protect a girl. You often stay with her. Although everyone keeps away from her, you never do. Lan 11 frowned and thought for a moment, that girl seems to be called, Fanyan. Yes, that's the name. I used to think she was pretty and her name was nice. As Lan 11 was talking, she suddenly felt that something was wrong with Wrong. See's face, so she stopped talking, staring at Wrong. See, with her big eyes open. Wrong. See, what's wrong with you? Wrong. See, closed his eyes, breathed a sigh of relief, and said in a weak breath, I'm fine. I feel like you have something on your mind. Lan 11 whispered something, lowered his eyes, and his face became not so good looking. Wrong. See, was non-committal, but deliberately changed the subject. I'll take you back. Okay, thank you. Lan 11 raised her head suddenly, and her eyes lit up when she looked at Wrong. See, Wrong. See, looked into Lan 11's eyes and was glad that she was still the same as when she was a child and had not changed. What a rare thing it is to keep one's original intention unchanged despite all the changes in the world. Wrong. See, sent Lan 11 home. Wrong. See, opened the car door and Lan 11 walked out. Wrong. See, took a look at Lan 11's residence. Her home was a standard villa. Just looking at it from the outside was already amazing, and it also made people start to wonder about the luxurious scene inside. From an orphan to a daughter, Lan 11 has experienced such a big change, but she still looks as innocent as before. That's great, Wrong. See, thought. Would you like to come in and sit for a while? Lan 11 invited politely. No, I have something else to do, you should go to bed early. Wrong. See, refused with a smile in his eyes. Hey, Lan 11, what are you doing here? You are going to be Fu Er Xiao's fiancé now, and you are still having an affair with other men. Aren't you blatantly cheating on Fu Er Xiao? Less cuckolding. At this moment, I suddenly remembered a strange female voice. Wrong. See, followed the sound and saw not far away a fashionably dressed woman with big brand blessings on her body, twisting her waist and approaching the two of them with a mocking expression on her lips. After the woman's eyes fell on Wrong. See, her eyes suddenly lit up, and her arrogant and domineering attitude immediately calmed down. Hey, who is this young master? The woman's eyes were staring straight at Wrong. See, making Wrong. See, very uncomfortable. It's not Lan Hua, he is just my friend. Lan 11 quickly defended. The woman rolled her eyes at Lan 11 and said, you say we are just friends? If second young master Fu finds out about your late night tryst with a man, do you think he will still want you? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1100. Chapter 1100 What Can I Do? Second Young Master Fu. Rong Ci raised his eyebrows. Is it the second young Master Fu from the Fu group in the imperial capital? Otherwise, who else would dare to use the name second young Master Fu? Lan Hua spoke flatteringly. As he spoke, his eyes stared straight at Rong Ci, reluctant to look away. From time to time, I would even snicker in self-orgasm. That second young Master Fu is a romantic by nature, and he has a rough appearance. He has no good qualities whatsoever. Apart from the few assets his father left him, he is just a scumbag and a low-life thing. A few days ago, he was also reported by the news to have been in a bar and brought 3 young women to check out a hotel. You want Lan 11 to get engaged to him. As Rong Ci spoke, his tone became more and more angry. A person with normal thinking and no brain problems would not marry his daughter to that kind of scumbag. From the way Lan 11 talked to the woman just now, we knew that Lan 11's status in the family must be very low. Lan 11 respects her, but her attitude towards Lan 11 is like treating a servant. Rong Ci felt that the Lan family deliberately married their daughter in order to marry into the Fu family. It's really ridiculous. They are both daughters, so the difference in treatment is too obvious. Lan Hua chuckled, as if it had nothing to do with him, reached out and touched his hair, and said slowly, so what, the woman in the entire imperial capital wants to marry second young Master Fu, isn't it? Is there still a long queue? Rong Ci sneered, then why don't you line up? Lan Hua was startled and stared at Rong Ci, what do you mean? Originally, I thought that Rong Ci was handsome and refined, and the clothes on his body were not ordinary. He must be a noble son, and he was thinking about hooking up. Now it seems that Rong Ci's words are really irritating. No matter how good looking he is, she can't tolerate it anymore. Lan 11, who is this woman? Rong Ci ignored her, but turned to look at Lan 11, who had been silent. Lan 11 lowered her head, she is my sister, Lan Hua. Lan Hua let out a soft voice of disdain, just a half-sister. Lan 11's mother was her father's first wife. Unfortunately, she didn't live long. She died not long after giving birth to Lan 11. This sister was born to a woman that Lan 11's father later married, which was Lan 11's stepmother. Rong Ci felt a little distressed inexplicably as he listened to Lan 11's description. He originally thought that Lan 11 would live a carefree life with rich clothes and fine food as he became a wealthy lady. But he didn't expect that life for wealthy families would not be easy at all. It seems that her stepmother has treated her very badly, and her father has always turned a blind eye in order to please her stepmother. Now, for his own benefit, he has pushed his daughter into a pit of fire. What kind of father is this? Such a person is not worthy of being a father. Rong Ci clenched her fists tightly and looked at Lan 11, Lan 11, are you willing to marry a man like that? Lan 11 lowered her eyes and lowered her head, unable to see her expression clearly, but her soft voice conveyed a touch of helplessness and helplessness, what can I do? I don't want to, but I have to, isn't that right? No, Lan 11, you are an adult and you have the opportunity to choose. Rong Ci suddenly felt a heart-wrenching pain. The girl who looks so warm and as bright as the sun turns out to have such sadness in her heart. End of this chapter.